folks. So today is the 11th of November and it means it's Remembrance Day. We remember those who died in the wars and all our brave service men and women. And also it's the 10-year anniversary yesterday of my mother's passing. She died on the 10th of November 2012, so 10, 11, 12. And she loved poppies. Oh, she had crockery with poppies on. She had oil paintings on the wall of poppies everywhere. She loved poppies. And it was quite moving, really, because when she was laid, she was in the chapel of rest here. She was surrounded by poppies because, of course, Remembrance Day, so there were poppies everywhere, and the church opposite does a big display of knitted poppies. So she could not have engineered it, it was just amazing how that happened. And so, of course, this time of year, every year, she's on my mind. And I suppose that relates to the last decan, the Six of Cups. So therein lies the reason for this introduction. I've decided, at last, it's taken me a while, but I've decided to actually do the decan journey from today. And today is Scorpio 3, I believe, and it's the Seven of Cups, which is probably one of the most difficult cards in the deck, especially in the Thoth deck. So in preparation for this morning I read the corresponding chapter in Susan T. Chang's 36 Secrets book, and I listened to the podcast while me and Kai were out on our morning walk, the Fortune's Wheelhouse podcast on the Six of Cups, that's T. Susan Chang along with M.M. Moline. So I listened to that on the way around, so very informative, and it's triggered a lot of things for me that I can associate with that card. Not necessarily everything that they've said, but things that relate to me. So for instance, in fact, I'm not going to go into it right now. This is the introduction. I don't want to get into it right now. I've got all these thoughts spinning around my head that I need to actually get down on paper, relating to this card and the cards that go alongside it with this decan, which are the Death card and the Sun card. See, I've just had another idea. Anyway, I'll scribble them down on paper. I've actually got a really nice A5 file of facts that I'm going to utilise for this. I've had it a long time, but it would be great to utilise it for this because it's ring bound, so therefore I can take paper in and shuffle it around and, make it make sense for me. Because alongside this there's astrology, of course there is. There's various things that go along with it that you can delve into. Maybe even the chakra system, loads of things. So it's going to be a bit of an exploration. To explain a little bit about decans, if you're not familiar, each card is assigned to a time of year. So the Seven of Cups is assigned to from today the 11th to around the 21st. There are about 10, 11 days each card, which takes you around the whole wheel, what we would call a wheel of the decanic wheel, which is a year-long cycle. So if I'm dedicated enough, then I'll finish it this time next year and maybe even go around again. So as I said, the resources that I'm using at the moment are 36 Secrets book and the podcast. I am going to actually look for other resources. Some that come to mind are, there's a YouTuber called Yeta. I am murdering that name, but she does Thoth tutorials and she's been through all of the cards actually now, and she's starting to actually do them together as readings, which is fascinating. because the thoth deck's not easy, is it? And then, so hers, and who else? Sadhana, integrative healing, I think the channel's called. I subscribe to her on a monthly basis. I pay my subscription. It's not very much money. And she does very deep dives, which I enjoy. So I'll look at what she's, her take on these cards. She's not done this one yet, so I'm ahead of it. I'm ahead of that series. But so it'll be interesting for me anyway to see her take on this. I watched her take on the Five of Cups. Very, very interesting. Anyone else that I can think of? Well, in all openness, last year I was going to do it, and I did some preliminary reading and listening to Don Milo Duquette. Oh dear. Yeah, Don Milo Duquette. I've got his book, and I read it's a Thoth book. I'll link it down below. We'll show a picture of it over this. You know, you don't have to keep looking at me. I will overlay photographs and pictures. You won't just have to look at me. Especially I've just come in from a walk, so I'm probably not looking my best. By the by, last year he was doing a series on his Facebook group where he was reading chapters of that book, and actually that was really useful because it brought the book to life. It's strange. I was listening to it as I was walking, as usual. And actually listening to the author talk it in his own voice and put the emphasis where he wanted to put the emphasis, it really did bring that book to life. So yeah, that was amazing. I enjoyed that. Dog's having a moan. Nothing new there. So yeah, so really this is the little introduction to what I'm going to do, what I intend to do. So now I'm going to go off and make some notes. All the things that I've been thinking about as I've been on the walk. I tend to get a lot of ideas, a lot of things seem to come together for me when I'm walking. It's very strange. More so when I'm outside than when I'm indoors. I mean, now I'm just going to quickly write down those thoughts that came to me on the walk, but it does seem that way. I don't know if anybody else, if that happens with other people, with you maybe. But I tend to get a lot of inspiration, ideas, connections when I'm walking. And I've got nothing to write on. Maybe I should utilise a phone and actually talk in, but then I'm always wary of people looking at me as if she's a bit strange. But then I am a bit strange, so you know, what's new. Anyway, it was a beautiful morning this morning. Glorious sunshine, really warm, really nice, and a lovely walk. But now I think it's going to rain again. I tell you what, it's done nothing but rain for us. I can't remember the last dry day. Anyway, yeah, so that's where it is so far. I thought I'd do the introduction today because it's such an auspicious day. 2 days actually for me personally. My grandfather was my father's father was in the Boer War, and then when he came out he actually survived that, which not a lot of soldiers did, and then he went on to be a mounted policeman in Birmingham, UK, the home of the Peaky Blinders. And from what I can gather, although I can't substantiate this claim, but I've watched some programs about the Peaky Blinders. They were a notorious Birmingham gang back when my grandfather was a policeman, and in that program they said that a lot of the guys that came back from the war were pulled into the police force to control the Peaky Blinders because they'd got out of control. So yeah, interesting, huh? My grandfather actually was not a nice man. He died when my mum was pregnant with me, so I never met the man, but yeah, he was quite a violent man, and maybe that's what war does to people. I think it certainly did affect my grandfather quite mentally, quite a lot. He was a different man apparently when he came back. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my history and about my connections and why I'm going on this little year-long deep dive. So I'm doing this for me, actually. I'm going to be quite upfront about it. It's going to be a way for me to actually look back on this journey. I can look back on these videos and see, you know, how things have changed or not. How my ideas of the knowledge that I have so far of the cards, and I've been doing these cards for about 30 years. But yeah, if that's changed, if it's developed, hopefully it's developed. So yeah, it's just a little, maybe a vlog. No, it's not a vlog. It's not a vlog, but it is a way of me actually being able to look back and see what I'm learning, see how I'm developing. So that's, yeah, this is the beginning of a quite exciting journey that I intend doing. So I don't intend doing like a look back at the last 10 days. I'm going to do it in bits and parts as they happen, as I find things. That's my intention. Compare the same card in different decks and see how they're interpreted by different artists and see if that helps, which it will. I know it will help layer the meaning up for me. So it's really exciting. And then Maline's got 2 decks that I've got. I'm so fortunate to have these decks. They are beautiful. The Tabula Mundi and the Rosetta Tarot. So yeah, and the books that go with those as well. She's so informative. She's so up on all this. What she doesn't know isn't worth knowing, really. So yeah, I'm going to tap into those people. If you know of any other channels or any other resources that I haven't thought of or come across, I'd be so grateful if you could put them in the comments underneath. That'd be great. And maybe tell me a little bit about your journey on the decans, on the decanic wheel, if you've done it, if you've been doing it. I think what turned me onto it last year was Nina from Shuffle Tarot. She did it, and that's when I sort of started to do it that year and fell off the wagon. I don't know what happened. I think I got a bit busy actually, but yeah. So this is my intention. So this is the intro to hold me to account. Yeah, let's see how we go, shall we? Okay. Anyway, I've waffled for too long, and I'll see you in the next one.